Hello and welcome to Dad Surviving Divorce. I'm Dwayne, and before I get started, I just want to say I hope you guys had an outstanding Thanksgiving holiday. Hopefully you got to spend it with people who were supportive of you and not toxic. I know that's sometimes not the easiest thing to do, and just, if you didn't, hopefully you're able to muscle through it and make the most of it and minimize the impact that those people have or had on you. So this topic came up from a couple of emails and discussions I've had with a few different people. So I thought it would be a good idea to hit this again because I think it's something that we tend to forget, and that is our kids want to love both parents. I know it's frustrating. I know it's tough, especially when you're dealing with a toxic ex who basically does things to make everything as complicated as possible and is probably doing some emotional stuff to really hurt the kids and probably doesn't care. Even with that, the kids really want to love both parents. They want to believe that illusion that they have in their head, not our head. They want to believe the illusion that we used to all have in our heads, right? So the thing is, this is really tough when you're trying to do the best for them, right? And you have the epiphany and the realization that the ex isn't quite the most positive person in the world. And you probably have seen the damage that they've been able to do to your kids. Now, the thing is that it's easier for us because we're not part biologically related to our exes. So when that mask falls and the reality hits us right in the face, we're able to say, there's something wrong with that person, and start to take steps to detach. The problem with our kids is that they are part of the other parent. And for them to accept that the other person is bad, then they have to think that they have part of that badness in them. Now, you and I both know that that's not necessarily true, and we would hope that our kids don't think that way, but they absolutely do. Whenever you're in that situation and they're looking at, North and South Korea, as I like to call it sometimes, they're part of both sides. So it's really hard for them to determine which side is good and which side's bad. And it's really tough when you put a child in the middle of that because it messes with their head. Now, the other part about that is they really do want to have a relationship. They don't want it to be true. If their other parent is neglecting them or not responding to them or just basically unavailable both physically and emotionally, they don't want to believe it's true. They want to believe that the other parent really does care about them, that they really are the mom or dad that they hope to have, that maybe they see their friends have, or the fantasy of what it was. I mean, they want the whole thing to be true. And what that means is that any time the other parent throws them some table scraps, they are going to jump at it. And it's going to be really hurtful for a lot of us out there, because when that happens, you're hoping that they'll see the light, right? But we're looking at it from our perspective. We're looking at it that hopefully our kids will see what the problem is with the other parent. They'll want to set up their boundaries. They'll keep the other person at bay. And then when it doesn't happen, it's confusing. Well, the main point about that is our kids, they do not want this to be true. They do not want that reality. They want the other parent to love them, to want to be with them. And the problem with that is you have to be really careful how you deal with it, because the other parent can actually manipulate them very easily and push your buttons or push their buttons to really cause some problems. I've seen that with a few of the folks here on the channel, where I think that's kind of what's happened is that in this particular scenario, the other parent has been able to push the buttons, give the kids the attention that they've wanted so much, and at the same time undermining the other relationship. So you have to be really careful about that to not fall into those traps. And I know I've made videos about that particular part in the last week or so. And if you haven't seen them, just check out the channel, go to the latest uploads, and you can find them there. Or if I can, I'll add them in a link into a card above. But it's a little more complicated in these particular scenarios, because our kids are really going to give the other parent passes. And I know when that, see, it's the problem is that no matter what happens, it's not really a good thing. And what I mean is that the first time my kids really saw the mask slip, and you would think that I'd be like, oh yeah, thank God, you know, finally they saw it. And it doesn't really work out that way. Whenever you see the kids hurting because they realize it hurts. It hurts you. And it's going to hurt you when it happens. And then the second part about that is whenever they then give them a pass, it hurts, because it's like, well, wait a minute, you know, you were just crapped all over, and now you don't even remember it, and you're going along like everything's fine, and they're still going after those table scraps. So in the end, all you can really do is be there for your kids. Try to be that stable foundation. Try to thread that needle between the chaos and the calmness that you're trying to create in this just crazy world, to give them the stability to be able to feel loved by you and to be able to deal with this whole issue with the other parent. That's why if you can find a really good therapist for your kids, it can be really helpful if they really understand this, because they need help to get it. And the flip side to this is you're stuck in a mode to where you're trying to balance what your ex is doing, how it's impacting our kids, your kids, and the right decisions to make. At the same time, while your buttons are being pushed by your ex, by maybe their new relationship, inadvertently by your kids, add into that probably financial issues and support issues and things just not really working out the way you think they would work. And it's a pretty frustrating mix. So the thing is if you understand that and you understand what your kids are going through, then maybe you can take a step back and appreciate the dilemma they're in, which they're living a nightmare just as much as we are. In a lot of ways, it's worse, because at least we get to see clearly what's going on, so we can start making life-changing decisions to minimize the impact. The problem is it's really hard for your kids. I don't know how many people I've known throughout my life who are either younger or even adults who had those messed up relationships with their parents because of all this crazy ass drama associated with the divorces that they had. So just try to keep that in mind. I think if you can, you're in a much better position to help your kids. And hopefully running through the holidays, you'll be able to keep things a little bit calmer and help them navigate the craziness that tends to happen in these situations. So on that, I'm going to wrap this video up. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you like the channel, please subscribe. If you haven't gone over and checked out the Dad Surviving Divorce website, run on over and do that. And I will chat with you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye.